Joining us now for more radio host Christopher Arps and Newsmax contributor Rick Gates. Great to have you both back. Rick, as Allison just said, the White House still downplaying the lab leak theory yesterday. Why do you think that is at this point?
Well, look, I think it's the continuation of what I call the 3Ds of the White House. Deflect, dismiss, and deceive. And they've done it consistently across the board, not just with the virus issue, but a multitude of issues. But in the respect of the COVID issue, they are absolutely worried that as more evidence comes out, just like in many other issues, that they are going to be held to account. And thus far, they have been trying to create a narrative that certainly backs off the Chinese and the idea that the Chinese might have done this deliberately. I think one of the greatest failings of this right now that we're seeing is after almost 3 years, our collective intelligence agencies cannot come up with a conclusion that is similar in nature through all the intelligence we have. I think that is very, very disconcerting for the American people.
Yeah, Chris, take a listen to what John Kirby had to say yesterday.
The president made trying to find the origins of COVID a priority right when he came into office. And he's got a whole of government effort designed to do that. There is not a consensus right now in the U.S. government about exactly how COVID started. There is just not an intelligence community consensus. And I would add that one of the things the president did was he's the one who tasked the national labs, which report up through the Department of Energy, to study this as well. So it wasn't just an effort that was confined to the intelligence community. That work is still ongoing.
All right, Chris, I don't know. Go ahead, take it from there. Because
Look, the Department of Energy and the premier investigative organization in the world has concluded that this virus probably came from the Wuhan lab. Even Jon Stewart, the comedian, knows that this probably came from the Wuhan lab. What I'm very curious about is why the release of this report now. I'm speculating that maybe this is a shot out to China that we don't want you sending weapons to Russia, and you already look like a pariah in the world because people suspect that you put COVID on us. Now, maybe they're trying to make them a pariah if you send weapons to Russia. I'm just very curious on the release of this report right now.
Yeah, COVID has killed at least 7 million people worldwide. I don't know why we're still so concerned with protecting China, but look, I'm a square away from COVID bingo here. It has been a rough couple of weeks for Democrats. We learned that masks didn't work. We learned that natural immunity is better than the actual vaccine. And over the weekend, we learned that COVID, yes, did in fact come from a lab. So it's been a rough week or so for the left. Rick, should there be, maybe I should ask it like this, are you surprised there has not been a 9/11 style commission put together to investigate not just where COVID came from, but how we responded to COVID over the course of the last 3 years?
Yeah, look, in a normal political environment, that would actually be the right thing to do. Have a bipartisan 9/11 commission with respected individuals that could get to the bottom of this. We're not in that political environment right now. I don't know when we will be in the near-term future. So to call for a 9/11 style commission is probably the wrong thing to do at this time. I don't think the American people, given where we are in our country right now, would believe either side of the report, regardless of what the information was. I think collectively people have made their determination of what they're going to believe in this issue. Certainly not going to believe a lot of the government information, and they're getting their sources from, getting their information from other sources. So I don't think you're going to see a 9/11 style commission for a long time on this issue.
All right, Chris, just a final thought on China. We have these House hearings on China today, one at 10 a.m. and another at prime time. This really, I think, will be an early test of whether they can, the committee can work together, bipartisan. What do you expect to come out of this? And it is interesting that they are having a prime time hearing.
One of the reasons, just to go back, I think that we won't have a 9/11 style commission because we may find out that the United States government, through Dr. Anthony Fauci, was complicit in funding gain of research that brought the COVID-19 virus on the United States and the world. Look, there has been bipartisanship when it comes to China, so I think we're going to see that in these hearings. China is a whipping boy for the Democrats and the Republicans.
Yeah, China, by the way, still blocking the WHO investigation into COVID origins. Take a look at what Donald Trump, this is April 2020, so really early on in the pandemic, what he had to say as president about where the virus came from.
Have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
All right, Rick, he was right. Looks like he was right. Energy Department, FBI confirming that the former president was right. 30 seconds. Why was the media so set on covering for communist China?
Well, I think there are a number of reasons. I think one, given at the time that this was more of an attack on Trump than necessarily protection of China. This was to diminish Trump's administration, to make sure that he didn't get any credit for doing anything right. The one thing we know about Donald Trump is he's going to tell the American people what he thinks. In this case, he had the ability to have some intelligence available at that time to show that this was actually perpetrated by China. The only degree, what we don't know now, is it deliberate or accidental? And I think that's where we need additional investigation to show the American people what happened there.
Yeah, great points. We'll keep the conversation going next hour. Rick Gates, Chris Arps, thank you.